Hi, it's Nick from the Run Testers, and this is our first run review of the Hoka Tecton X. So the Tecton X is Hoka's first carbon plate running shoe for the trails. Carbon plates, in fact, there's two of them in there. We'll talk more about that later. It comes with a fairly hefty price as a result. It's £170 in the UK or $200 in the US. It's got a 4mm drop from heel to toe, and the stack height is slightly different on the men's and women's shoes. It's 31mm at the heel in the women's shoe and 33mm at the heel in the men's. It's pretty lightweight. It's 260 grams in my UK size 9, which is pretty good for a trail shoe with lugs on the bottom. That's 9.2 ounces. So we'll start with the upper before we get to the really excited stuff. This is a jacquard engineered mesh with a gusseted tongue. There's a little bit of kind of a toe bumper at the front, but that's really not a very hard one. There's not a lot of protection and kind of overlays going on here. Hoka's clearly trying to keep the weight down, so you're not getting a massive amount of protection on top. So try not to kick too many stones and roots in this shoe. You've got a fairly thin tongue, a bit more padding around the heel here, so you know they're still trying to push this as a reasonably comfortable longer distance racer. But yeah, not much going on up top to keep the weight down. You have a ProFlyX midsole on the shoe, which is a dual density setup, which you've seen from Hoka lots of times. You've got the slightly softer top layer to the shoe to create a nice cushioned landing, and then as you press into the shoe you hit the slightly firmer bottom layer of orange foam there, and you get a bit more kind of rebound and propulsion through that design. So you should hopefully feel, nice soft landing, firm feel on your toe off as you spring away. To aid with that, there are two carbon plates in the shoe, and these run parallel through the midsole. Now, the idea of having two instead of one, big stiff plate is to allow a bit more flexibility, especially on uneven ground, but then have that kind of propulsive feel you get from the carbon plates. You see, still not a huge amount of flex in the shoe, so it's not going to be quite as nimble as some shoes out there, but it's a lightweight design, and those two plates should hopefully help mean that the plates don't make it too stiff and kind of unwieldy when you hit things like rutted ground, that kind of thing. Got a mild heel bevel there to kind of smooth transition. There's not as aggressive a rocker as on some of Hoka shoes though. Then you've got a Vibram Mega Grip outsole with light base construction. You can see there's left a big area without lugs, again just to keep the weight down, but obviously all the kind of key impact and grip zones have got these little lugs there. They're 4mm lugs and they're well spaced. I mean, this is built more for kind of harder ground in general than really super soft stuff, but you are getting a good outsole that should handle a variety of terrains pretty well if you are generally avoiding the muddy stuff when those carbon plates aren't going to help a lot anyway. Fit for me was true to size in the UK 9, although it's worth noting that this UK 9 is a US 9.5, whereas most of the shoes I test in a UK 9 are a US 10. So it's probably might come up a little bit short for some people. I like it with a narrow foot. It fits me really nicely, snugly around the front. Say when going downhill in the shoe on my first run, kind of hitting the forefoot, and to get a little bit of toe jam into that kind of front bit of the shoe. So if you are looking to go long on your runs with lots and lots of downhill sections, you might look at trying to get a bit more room in that toe box. But yeah, I was very happy true to size. Great lockdown around the heel and midfoot with no kind of lateral movement or anything of the foot as I was going up and down hills. So just heading out for first run in the Hoka Tecton X. We've got 90 minutes just on feel on the plan today, so I'm aiming to do a good range of terrains and a nice range of paces in the shoe just to kind of try it out. Plan is to kick off pretty easy, go into my local forest, do some little ups and downs on a nice mix of forest trails, and then go via a little stretch of road down to my canal and go along the towpath a bit there and try and kind of open them up a bit there and try and run 5k pretty quick along the towpath. Not too quick, just go move up towards steady paces just as it's a nice easy Sunday run. Just see how they feel there, and then come home, should hopefully run around kind of 22k total, and yeah, see how the shoe grips, sort of different terrains, see how it feels, different paces, and get a good first impression of it. So on that first run, I ran just kind of over 23k in the shoe at a fairly decent clip. There was probably a little bit more road than I expected when I was originally planning the route, because I had to adjust it a little bit on the fly, but I still had a nice long stretch at the start, running fairly easy on forest trails. Some of those were very well maintained forest paths, but there was some single track in there with a bit of mud. bit of rutted ground, some kind of short, steep descents and ascents, nothing too long on that front though on this first run. Then I had a bit of road down to my canal towpath where I ran along, which is kind of dusty, kind of gravelly path at the moment, nice and flat, obviously, being on the canal, and a bit more road to finish. So there's a bit of range in the trails there, but it was mostly quite hard stuff. It's warmed up a bit here in the UK, so there's not so much deep, soft mud to tackle, which is very nice. So generally I was running just kind of on feel, keeping it fairly easy. And then on the canal, on that long stretch in the canal, I did run a progression 5K, just to kind of tick things up a bit and see how the pace was in the shoe. Not going mad or anything, but just wanted to work through a few paces. So I started around 3:41 a K, finished around 3:28 a K for the last one. And the shoe felt pretty good. You know, it is lightweight, it's nimble. I was obviously on nice flat canal ground, but you know, it's still a little bit loose underfoot, and it was getting good purchase and a kind of nice bit of propulsion from the foams and the carbon plate in there. I'd say overall it felt better at the kind of steady or marathon pace efforts. You know, that's where I kind of viewed this more as a longer distance trail racer, but maybe not an ultra marathon racer. And yeah, it was comfortable for that, speedy. And throughout the run, I'd definitely say that I was ticking along a bit quicker than I probably thought I was. But you know, if I was just going on heart rate or feel, especially up hills. There was a hill near the end and I was just coming to the end of the run. I was really just jogging it in and just saw the pace, you know, for the kilometre split coming afterwards, having jogged up this hill, and it really was faster than I was expecting. So I do think it's a good, nimble, agile shoe that will kind of keep you moving at a good pace for kind of low effort level, which is always great on trails when you're kind of saving a bit of effort to power up the hills and then you want to kind of relax a bit. And then on the flats, it's going to really come into its own with those plates on the more runnable sections of the trails, where you should be getting a nice propulsive feeling. On the comfort front, I'd say as well, that was great. Out of the box to go and do kind of 90 minutes on mostly quite firm ground. I had no concerns about comfort at all. It's you know, it's not the softest shoe in the world, but there was a good level of protection there. Feet felt good, and it was generally pretty comfortable. So I definitely enjoyed first run in the Tecton X, and I'm looking forward to getting out in it again. It's a really nice addition, I think, to the trail running scene to have another carbon plate racer in there. I think it is going to be a good fast option for longer races, including maybe even ultra marathons, depending on how you feel, how you find the comfort of the shoe. Hopefully I'll get out and do some kind of racing or at least a speed session in it, but yeah, really encouraging first run, I'd say for sure. I also felt that the outsole of the shoe worked really well. Like, it's not the most aggressive outsole, so it actually works quite well even as a road to trail shoe. I enjoyed my sections on the road today in it. Obviously best on the trails, you're getting good grip, but it's not really going to bite into soft ground, but it is going to work well on a, you know, on the range of hard types of terrain. You know, on the slightly looser stuff I ran on at times, it was finding good grip even when running at, you know, fairly fast paces. So I've also been testing out the Hoka Speedgoat 5 lately, and that I think is a more comfortable shoe. Like, it's built for kind of even longer runs and handling lots of training as well. It's got a slightly kind of smoother rocketed ride to it, I think, than this, which is a bit more snappy and fast. But the Speedgoat 5 obviously is a pretty good racing shoe as well, but probably builds more for those ultra long events, whereas this I think will work at a kind of range of short distances and maybe ultras as well, depending on whether you want the kind of extra ground feel and obviously the carbon plates you get with the Tecton X compared to the extra protection you get from the Speedgoat 5. Other carbon shoe I've tried for the trails is the North Face Flight Vective, which I had some problems with just in terms of the upper. It was bit into my foot in a slightly weird way, so I didn't do too many runs in it, but I did get one long run in it, and I think that kind of shoe does highlight why maybe Hoka's gone for these two carbon plates. Like, it was a really nice shoe to run in, but really on kind of good trails or flat ground is really where you got the benefit of the kind of plate and foam working on that shoe. I think the Tecton X is going to be more nimble and agile on technical terrain. It's got a much better outsole that will work on a greater variety of terrains, whereas the Flight Vective to me really was only good for hard ground. Didn't really like the wet at all. It's also a bit lighter than the North Face Flight Vective, so it's nice to have another kind of carbon trail shoe on the market. Guys, that's our first run review of the Hoka Tecton X. Let us know what you think in the comments. Are you excited about this shoe? Do you want to get some more carbon plates on the trails? Please like, subscribe, ring the little bell, and we'll see you next time.